So I realized that the channel is growing, and people are watching my content, and I got some generous feedback from friends and some people who are watching the stuff that I'm putting up. So there is a number of things that or a number of streams that I actually trying to build. So I have one platform, and that platform is the Abrasive Conversations platform. So on that platform I bring on entrepreneurs, artists, everyone who has specific content or has a brand and wants to grow that specific brand. I bring them on board and I have conversations with them. And the reason why it's Abrasive Conversations is because I feel that the content industry, and especially those on YouTube, have become kind of unfiltered, filtered, and the rawness is not there anymore. So it is based on that I started Abrasive Conversations, where I give people opportunity to speak and speak as long as they want to speak. So a friend of mine said to me, Jacob, you're doing good, but I think that you have to appear in front of the camera. So this is the reason why I'm sitting in front of the camera and really uncomfortably speaking to this device with nobody behind it. So I'm actually really conscious as I'm sitting here and speaking to you. And the reason why he asked me to appear in front of the camera, because he said that I have really good views on certain things, and definitely people want to hear some of those things. So I think this is a test or as to how it would go, based on my opinion. Normally I prefer writing and really not appear in front of the camera and speaking about it. So I normally put my words onto paper. This medium that I adore so much is not one of my strongest things when I appear in front of him, and as you can hear me stuttering now. So there's two things that I want to really speak about, and it has been on my heart now for, I think, for some time. So the first thing that I want to speak about is the brutal murder of Jerobejin van Wyk at Klawer. And that specific incident really threw me. It threw me because how do we get in South Africa to a point where we can kidnap a 13-year-old boy and then kill that person and then cut that person or that child into pieces, and then trying to get rid of the evidence. And when you appear in court, there's almost like you don't have any remorse as to what you were doing. The first thing that you do is say, this is the work of evil spirits. To me, that's not an excuse, because the parents of Jerobejin, they have to live with the reality that their son was murdered in such a brutal way on a daily basis. And it's not just the parents that is affected by that specific incident, it's the whole community that is affected by that specific incident. So if you guys don't know about the incident, I would really encourage you to Google a specific incident and really just read some of the news reports there, and I'll put it in the description as to the name and some of the news articles. I'll put it down below in the description. So the first reaction is evil spirits, and then after admitting to murder this boy in such a brutal way, he offered to pay the parents for the murder that he committed. I hope the parents didn't take any remuneration or anything from it, because what this guy really wants to do is he wants to buy the silence of the parents, but also of the community of Klawer. So I try to make sense of it, and to be honest, it's difficult for me as a non-white person to not feel a specific way in South Africa when incidents like that is happening. So me and my friend Ricardo Cook had a really interesting debate, and as this debate took place, I said to him, what happened to Jerobejin is also something that have been happening to women in South Africa for a long period of time. Women are getting killed in the most brutal way, in a similar way as Jerobejin was killed in Klawer. And the common denominator in all of those incidents is men in South Africa, whether it's black men in South Africa or whether it's white men in South Africa. Men seems to be the biggest problem in South Africa. We are violent and we are killing. And I'm still trying to make sense of the violence. So the biggest problem and the common denominator, as I figured it out, is men. So this is my call specifically to men in general in society. It's time for us to hold each other accountable and become better human beings. I think if we kill people in that specific way, that we are not human yet. We haven't come to a level as to where we are human yet. So this is my appeal to men. And especially if you know that you have a friend that is angry, it's time to hold each other accountable. And by men just saying, but it's not me, or not all of us is like that, then what you're actually doing, you are silencing women and you are trying to silence the victims. So this is my appeal to men in South Africa. We need to change. Whether that comes from gender hate or femicide, whether it's femicide or when it's a racial motivated incident, the guilty person most likely is going to be men in South Africa. So please, we have to do something about it. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about is the biobubble that universities wants to live in and want to operate in. So people who don't know is that some universities in South Africa have passed a compulsory vaccination policy, and that policy literally say if students, vendors and even staff, if they're not vaccinated, they cannot come into campus. And I think these institutions, they're trying to mirror what is currently happening in the global north or the west, so to say, is that they want to push out people that looks a little bit different or just operated a little bit different. So what I think that is behind this university's anti-vaccination policy is a kind of Trump's a type of ideology, and I really pointed to a type of psychic condition which I think I would like to call institutionalization. And I think Kendrick Lamar and even Tupac have in their songs talked about institutionalization, what institutionalization means. And it's also something that Foucault in Discipline and Punishment talks about, that the prison, you can free the prisoner, but the prison will still be in the mindset, in that prison mentality, so they live a prison routine on a daily basis. And I think that aptly describes how the universities in South Africa is operating. I think they still largely operating on an apartheid mentality, because if you want to include one group and you want to exclude another group, that is the basis of apartheid. You don't find ways of actually including people. So I know after this particular video, a lot of people will come at me, and especially pseudo scientists at universities, about all of the science and that it helps. Yes, vaccinations and those things are helping, but what we are doing, we are excluding a large majority of the South African population from university campuses. And I think basic education is dealing much better with the reality of the COVID-19 pandemic than universities trying in South Africa. The basic education is actually realizing that we have to live in the coming years with the coronavirus and the specific pandemic. And we have seen it on Africa. In Africa, we got used to living with serious diseases like TB, malaria, and even HIV/AIDS. So we found ways in Africa to live with it and not exclude other people. So in South Africa, we must be really be careful that we do not repeat the mistakes that countries in the north are doing. So this is my appeal to some of my colleagues in these universities to really think about what it means to shut down a debate on vaccination and vaccination policies on this campus. And if you feel that that is the best way to live in a biobubble, then I'm actually telling you that you're not living in the South Africa that I'm living. And you are not living in a South Africa that your child are living, because your child is going to a school where the large majority of kids might not, or learners might not be vaccinated. So there's a large reality that we are facing in South Africa, and that reality is that there is pockets of segregation all over this country and this city. So we really have to think what a supposedly post-South Africa would look like. And I don't think the compulsory vaccination policy at certain universities in South Africa are taking us there. So those were the two things that is on my heart. So I will see in the coming weeks if I will have more of these abrasive conversations that is raw and uncut, that is more my point of view. So thank you very much for watching, and yes, please do subscribe and please do like this specific video, because it helps to grow the channel. Thank you very much.